Did Buddha impact Gita? Gita, is very important religious text in Hinduism. If Buddha impacted Gita, it would amount to Buddha impacting certain very important aspects of Hinduism. A study made by KN Upadhyaya says that Buddha did impact Gita. And that conclusion seems sensible. Why is it so? Take the context of Gita. That was a war, Kurukshetra. And Arjuna suddenly asks a question that should I fight? What do I gain by this? Is that a question in the midst of the battle? And Krishna gives an elaborate answer. How can an elaborate answer is possible on the battlefield? So historians think Gita is an interpolation in Mahabharata. Gita is an interpolation in Mahabharata that is inserted much later. It was not part of original text. So that conclusion reasonable. And coming to the theme of Gita, if you notice, Arjuna's question is essentially a Buddhist question. Arjuna is saying, I don't want to fight, and what do I gain by fighting? He was expected to take interest in victory, kingdom. Okay, but he was saying, what do I gain and I don't want to fight? So he wants to renounce. That is a Buddhist question. Buddha glorified renunciation. And so to that Buddhist question, Krishna gives variety of answers. First of all, Krishna doesn't reject Arjuna's spiritual quest. Krishna didn't say, what are you talking about? Forget about all those things. Be interested in war, kill. Krishna answers Arjuna's question in philosophical and spiritual terms. Arjuna proposes the highest thing. In Hinduism it is called moksha, in Buddhism it is called Nirvana. And KN Upadhyaya says the word Nirvana appears in Gita many times. Krishna doesn't say that Nirvana is not needed. Krishna holds Nirvana as the highest thing. But to get Nirvana, one does not have to renounce. That is Krishna's answer. One doesn't have to be a monk, go to forests, renounce the world. So Krishna didn't reject Nirvana as the goal. He accepted Nirvana as the goal. But Krishna discussed many ways of making it to Nirvana, and Arjuna should make it not through renunciation of action, but through doing his own duty, swadharma, his own duty, and his own action, karma yoga. How can one act and yet make it to nirvana? Krishna's answer, I believe, is very, very insightful. Krishna points out what matters to nirvana is not action or non-action. What matters to nirvana is the desire structure. Renunciation is supposed to represent desirelessness. But if you can act without desire, that amounts to a way to nirvana. You can act, but act without desire. That is equivalent to renunciation. And Krishna says, just because he renounced the world, it does not mean you are really free from desires. He says, nor you can live without any action. Even physical life calls for action. So, Krishna argues that the essence of nirvana is desirelessness, and if Arjuna performs his own duty without expecting results, without desires, then he is on the path to moksha or nirvana. So Krishna accepts the question, Krishna accepts the spirituality of Arjuna, but says and gives a different answer. So desireless action is the most important thing. You resign in me and you get eternal undecaying abode. That is what Krishna is saying. And he says his own actions are actions without desire. So he is saying, I myself do it desirelessly, though I do many, many things. So you can also do the way that I am doing. Okay. So this one can see logically and analytically. Very sensible conclusion. But historical issues are not simply settled through logic. First, we should see the chronology. For Buddha to impact Gita, Gita should be post-Buddhist work. So what do historians say about these dates? These are the dates. So there were disagreements regarding dating of Gita, but all agree that it is not earlier than Buddha, or more particularly earlier than 5th century BC. So assuming 5th century BC, and by the first quarter of 5th century Buddhism was established. So Gita is post-Buddhist work. So dates match. And KN Upadhyaya gives many comparison of many words. He takes certain words from Gita. He says these words are Buddhist, which are not found in pre-Buddhist Upanishads. Virtues like then Maitri, Karuna, they were not there in pre-Buddhist Upanishads. Upanishads, some of them are pre-Buddhist, some after Buddhism. And vices like Krodha, Mada, Asuya, and Raga and Dvesha occur in compounds in Gita, as in early Buddhism. So Upadhyaya gives many words like this. And if you notice these words like Krodha, Mada, Asuya, Karuna, if these words entered Hinduism through Gita from Buddhist sources, it shows that Buddha impacted moral aspects of Hinduism. What makes a good man? What makes a bad man? Asuya is a vice, Mada vice, Krodha vice, Karuna is a virtue, Maitri is a virtue. So, because what is Buddhism? See, Buddha is proposing Nirvana, but what is the way to Nirvana? Why should one try to get Nirvana in the first place? Buddha saw life as sorrow. And why man is leading such a sorrowful life? Because he is attached to certain impermanent things. Pleasure, pain. So he is seeking pleasure, trying to avoid pain. So he is attached to impermanent things. So he is reactive. That is how he is in sorrow. And Buddha thought there can be an end to the sorrow. And it is found the reasons for sorrow and life as sorrow is also mentioned in Gita. Sources of sorrow. So Gita accepts what Buddha considers to be sources of sorrow. Gita accepts what Buddha considers the solution to sorrow, that is desirelessness. The disagreement is that Buddha proposed renunciation, whereas Gita is proposing action, but with desirelessness. To be accurate, Gita is not saying that everybody should act. Gita is saying, Krishna is saying that everybody need not take the route of Buddha. It is asking Arjuna to act and yet make it to Nirvana. Krishna is not proposing everybody should act. So Buddhism in that sense is not rejected. Its central theme is not rejected. And if we ask whether the central theme is desire or action, definitely the central theme is about desire, not about action. So Krishna's answer is very insightful. So that is it. And Upadhyaya gives one more thing. He says that the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna is similar to a conversation between two people in a Buddhist scripture, that is between Sacra and Matali. Matali is a charioteer of Sacra, and Sacra is king of gods. An Asura, Vepa city, is brought as captive to Sacra, and Vepa city was abusing Sacra. Sacra, instead of reacting, he was silent. Matali didn't like Sacra's silence. So you see the context. Somebody is shouting and one is not shouting back. So not shouting back, not responding in kind, are the values that Buddhism taught. And Matali is giving an argument to Sacra, the argument in favor of punishing capacity. For example, Matali says, not to fight and control evil is to encourage it. Opacity is shouting and Sacra is not controlling him. So not to fight and control evil is to encourage it. Sacra says, to remain awakened and silent at the anger of others is to control evil. If somebody is shouting, shouting back is not the solution, but to be silent is the solution. These are the things that Buddha believed. So Sacra is speaking Buddha's argument. Matali is old Kshatriya argument. Then Matali says, not only you betray fear and weakness, but you earn ill fame, you get bad name. And Sacra says, fame or ill fame, praise or slander. Immediately. To resist force with force is an indication of weakness. Force with force. The real victory lies in the victory over anger. And for a moment, if we think that these are the values, Hindus feel familiar, but these are the values that seem to have come from Buddhism. Victory lies in victory over anger. Okay. So this story shows Buddhist values, Buddhist thinking, and how Sacra is answering the traditional and old argument in favor of meeting force with force. Upadhyaya says something different. Upadhyaya says the debate between Sacra and Matali is similar to the debate between Krishna and Arjuna, except that Arjuna asks a question and Krishna gives Matali's arguments. Krishna, instead of giving Sacra's arguments that are Buddhist answers, Krishna gives some of the things that Matali says. And of course, Krishna is far more spiritual. Okay. But Upadhyaya points out, for example, Bhaya and Daurbalya are the words used by Krishna, are the words used by Matali. See, if words match, you can assume that it is copying. And also evil consequences of ill fame and slander when one runs away, which Matali talked about. Krishna reminds Arjuna. So it means that story influenced this story, Krishna and Arjuna conversation, except that the roles are reversed, and Krishna's arguments are far more spiritual. Matali's arguments are more commonsensical, representing the values at that time. Krishna's arguments are not commonsensical. Krishna includes Kshatriya Dharma and gives a spiritual foundation to performing that Dharma. So, Buddha very clearly impacted Gita, going by the theme, going by the timing, going by the minute details. The author gives so many words like this. So, Buddha impacted Hinduism in very, very fundamental